So it's time to ask yourself this question, something I ask myself every day. Why am I here? What is it that I want to create in this world? And am I dreaming big enough? Step into the world of Carey Conley and vision to passion, a life full of genuine excitement for each day, knowing that what you do matters, that every big decision creates a ripple effect of an incredible light. Folks, get ready for an adventure fueled by passion and life.
Great morning, world! Welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast with your host, Dragon!
All right, great morning, world. This is your boy Dragon coming at you with another Rise Up with Dragon. And today we have a very special guest. The name of today's episode is A New Vision of You. And our special guest today is none other than the amazing Carey Conley. Carey is known for helping empower women with hope so that they supernaturally thrive in every area of their life. If you're into supernaturally thriving, you're in the right place. So Carey's purpose is dedicated to helping you identify your dreams and goals through what she calls vision building, as well as to achieve those goals through discovering your purpose. Something I'm very, very interested in. Carey believes that success in life is about following your true passion. She draws from more than 2 decades of experience in business, as well as through the ebbs and flows of her own personal life. It's through her joy and her pain, through her success, that Carey offers you the greatest opportunity to create a clear path to create your destiny by living in your purpose. Doesn't that sound awesome? Folks, get ready for an adventure fueled by passion and life. What a nice thing to get ready for. So it's time to ask yourself this question, something I ask myself every day. Why am I here? What is it that I want to create in this world? And am I dreaming big enough? Step into the world of Carey Conley and vision to passion, a life full of genuine excitement for each day, knowing that what you do matters, that every big decision creates a ripple effect of an incredible light. Please welcome to the show the amazing Carey Conley. Hello, Carey. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Awesome.
So excited to be here.
So just to tee this up, first of all, officially welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast and show, aka the Dragon's Lair. I hope that you'll enjoy yourself in here. So, Carey's another person that I find that all of our guests, they're all fascinating and they just have so much value, but I like to meet guests synchronistically. Most of my guests are not people that I've gone out and said, hey, will you be a guest on my show? They're people that I've bumped into or found myself sitting next to, or I had a great time with, at an event or something like that, and there was an actual connection. So Carey's an example of that. When we were at an event in Colorado, Chicken and I, Carey was, I saw Carey. I actually saw these 3 ladies just having like an unusually good time. And it was Sharon Lecter, a girl named Angela, and Carey. And of course I knew who Sharon Lecter was. And, I call her the Nightingale. But then I see Sharon Lecter up on the big stage, and Sharon gives the stage to this woman you're about to meet. And Carey started talking about purpose and vision and all that stuff. And it was just so awesome what she said, but then she just kind of left. She just it was like what I call a stick and move. She kind of did something and then left. And we were kind of like, we just felt like empty. So I'm excited to have her on the show. And she's just an amazing individual that is very, very busy. And Carey and I, in the spirit of the obstacles, the way, and just always pushing through the muck to get to the other side and the goods, which we're here now. Carey and I had, ebbs and flows of technical difficulties and scheduling issues to get here. So it makes today even more special. So welcome to the show, Carey.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much. And I want to forewarn you, I've locked up the dog, but I live near a train station. So if you hear a train, that's me, and I can't do anything about it.
Well, well, the good news about that is that my audience knows that currently, which came as a result of the event we met at, I enrolled with the KMG Music School to learn how to become a electronic music DJ. So we can just assume that I just made some background train noise or dogs,
I
in
love
the
it.
mix.
Yeah.
So Carey, I want to get into the vision and purpose and all of these wonderful things that you're doing. But first, I just want to identify why you're doing these things.
Mm.
So, in reading, about you, and your website is careyconley.com, right?
Yes. Yes.
Conley. So if you say Connolly, you'll spell it wrong. It's Carey, Carey, and then Conley, careyconley.com,
Right.
like it says. So I'm reading it and learning about you and all these wonderful things you do, but it's like it's obvious that you've been through some stuff
Mm.
that's probably helped you realize the importance of this, but also dedicated you for some reason to helping others. I find that when I meet people, like even like a Mother Teresa that's out there dedicating everything to helping others, there's a backstory. So how did you get here today?
Well, very, very long time ago, when I was about 27 years old, I was doing what we all did, and this was the late 80s, which was, taking the job and working up the ranks of the company. And I did not do the 9 to 5 thing very well. I am obviously entrepreneur, super creative, very self-disciplined. I just didn't like doing it on somebody else's watch. So I had a mentor enter my life at about that point, and she was the first person who told me that I could create my life to be whatever I wanted it to be. So she encouraged me to take a day off of work and get in a very, very quiet space, and with a journal, write out in great detail my dream life in every area of my life, my faith, my family, my friends, uh, fitness and health, my field, all of the things that make up our dream life. And what happened that day is I put some things in motion, of course, with the help of God and the universe. And I was listening. And I wrote a lot about how I wanted to be able to work from home once we started having kids. We didn't have them yet, but I knew we would. And I wanted to be able to be with a company that I could make an impact on other people. I could make a really great residual income, earn some trips for the family. I had no idea, JC, what that company was going to be. But fast forward a few years, I had a 2-year-old and was pregnant with my daughter, and I get introduced to a network marketing company called Arbonne, which most people are familiar with. So I quit my job, stayed home, and built a really big team, went to the top of the company. And the one thing I had to teach all of my leaders from day one that they joined the company was they had to write their big, powerful vision on paper, because I knew that if they didn't have that, they were going to quit. Because being an entrepreneur is a tough business, especially at that point in the world of network marketing. So much adversity, so many people wanting you to quit, tell you you're crazy, the whole thing. So 10 years ago, I decided to start teaching that outside of the walls of the company. So I started creating some curriculum that is now a workbook that I have called Vision is Victory. And I've done this now with thousands of people. I've helped them write their vision on paper like they've never done before. And I started coaching some entrepreneurs because they had no vision and they were drifting, which meant their business was, I said this once, JC, in an event, and it hit everybody right in the heart. And I knew that I was saying the right thing. I said, most of the entrepreneurs that I meet are running really expensive hobbies. And it was at that moment I knew, okay, this is why they need to have vision. So I've been teaching this mostly to entrepreneurs, but I really never intended to be a business coach. It just kind of happened that way. I just wanted people to understand why they needed to have this written vision so that they could attach to their purpose in life to get through anything. And now I know the reason for that was because in the past 10 years, in the past 7 years specifically, I've lost both my husband and my son to suicide 3 years apart. And so now I know why God put me on this path over 25 years ago. It was because of this time that I'm in right now. As I am more passionate about talking to people about knowing their purpose and knowing that they matter and having a vision than I've ever been before. Now my daughter and I speak together. She's 27 and now has her own family. And we co-authored a book together in 2019 called Keep Looking Up. So that's a long story, but it explains a lot why you said at the very beginning, why I'm so passionate about this and why I try and get up on as many stages and podcasts as I can to share this message.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that with me and with the audience. And, it's interesting. I do a lot of reading, and one of the things I've been really interested in is what are humans doing as they're going through life? I think we're all very often, especially when you meet another person, you're looking and assessing intentions.
Mhm.
So when you find out somebody is doing something, and then let alone find out that they're successful, I think the human brain automatically wants to know why, because once they know why, you could be interested in something, but once they know why somebody's doing something, that's when they'll consider engaging, because something in their brain says, oh, it makes sense. So long-winded way of saying what you're doing now and helping other people create this vision makes total sense.
Mhm.
It's probably, Martin Luther King he always spoke in his speech about the fierce urgency of now. It's like when you do something because you have to.
Right.
So just want to point out one thing, because I know a lot of people out there are setting goals, and we're going to get into this. This is like perfect. I love this topic and what you do. So much value. A lot of people out there are saying, I want to be a coach, right?
Mhm.
And people ask, well, why, and everything. And it's because of what they want in the coaching. But then you hear these people that are successful at coaching say, I never really thought it was going to be this. So I just want to pinpoint a lot of the power that people have comes from the organic nature of their story. And Mel Robbins made a whole career out of saying, turning your mess into your message.
Mhm.
Here's what I want to go into. Let's start off talking really about the value of creating the vision. So, I mean, on the surface level, everybody can see that. What I got from you is that, you had a void, and this person that asked you to write it out gave you the gift of showing you something that you had an aha moment.
Right.
First question, the first time, because everybody that meets you, they're going to write their vision for the first time. I know that you help people dream big. I don't know if it's giving them permission, but how do you help somebody that's never written their vision out have the permission to just let it go?
Right. Well, here's the exercise that I've taught to, again, thousands of people. And it's a little different than most people. When there's a lot of people who teach vision, JC, but what I do is get people to write vision with dates on things, because it's one thing to have a really pretty vision board with pictures on it. And I totally believe in vision boards. And it's another thing to maybe write out affirmations in your dreams. But the game changer is when you start putting dates on things. So the exercise that I walk people through is to get in a very quiet space like I did, get a journal, handwrite this, don't type it, because there's a big correlation between when you write something and it connecting to the brain and really sinking in. And to date that piece of paper, that journal, as if it's 3 years from that date. And right after writing the date, as if it's 3 years out, write how old you will be. And then write how old the people that you are important in your life, your kids, grandkids, parents, whoever's in your inner circle. And the biggest reason I have people write that 3-year date and their ages is because time and aging are non-negotiable. And when people see and they project out, they start seeing, wow, okay, so a lot of things are going to change, especially if you have kids. About every 3 to 5 years, if you have kids, there's a big shift in the family dynamic and what's going on. So most especially my own journey, as I told you, I jumped into network marketing pregnant with my daughter and my 2-year-old at home. And I could see 3 years out that they were going to be starting preschool. And I knew that my husband and I wanted to be able to put them in a private school. So that meant I had a target then of where I wanted to be in my company financially so that I could help fund that. And then 3 years, forward, they were going to start getting older, getting in activities. There's something about every 3 years where you see a shift coming, especially as we get older, that if we don't project out, we don't know what's the best use of our time today. And so with my own projection right now, 3 years out, and where what my age is and where my daughter's family is, I have a plan every single day of putting my intentions daily into the things that really matter, of where I'm lined up and what aligns with my vision and where I'm going. Does that make sense?
Oh, I love it. One of the distinctions I made at this event that we were at is one of the things people struggle with is going. It's one thing to like set a goal that's in the future, but it's another to actually go and experience it and create value around it.
Mm.
What I loved about the event that we met at is that they were using music to do that. When you listen to music, you go back to being a kid and you actually believe that you're rocking out on stage or something like that. So what you just said is like super, super powerful. And that's what I love about meeting all different varieties of people, because Carey does what a lot of people do, just like she said, but she just put a twist on it that, it's like, we know in goal setting, heck, I teach a goal setting course that I obviously have to revamp, because I teach people to put dates on it. But I love the idea of two reasons: of looking at a 3-year increment and questioning where others that are important will be. That's new for my brain. So I thank you for that. And then what happens is that builds the value, but it also lets you spend a little bit of time in that space. And I think that's what people, I love to talk about, the whole concept of what Dragon talks about is overcoming adversity and how we respond to things. What you do is arm people with a very distinct reason to overcome things. And also, when you set a goal that's 3 years out, what you're inherently doing, I would assume this is part of it, is you're committing to something for 3 years rather than a week.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? I mean, is that
Yes.
part of it?
What I'm doing is I'm helping people see beyond where they are right now. And you asked me a minute ago, if somebody's never written their vision, how do they get permission to actually sit down and write one? And when I do this exercise with people, I love doing it live. I've done all day workshops where I've literally, during the middle of the day, they get an hour to sit and write this 3-year letter. And I give them some rules. And some of the rules are to watch their words. They can't be what I call wishy-washy words. I'm trying, we're hoping, we'll see. They have to be very affirmative words. I've done, we're doing, we have. Because again, what you put out in the universe is what you get. Put out wishy-washy, you get wishy-washy. So we've got to be very, very clear. And the second thing I tell them is some really big dreams, if you allow it, are going to start popping up that right now, in the circumstances you're in, it may seem like they're impossible, and you might be tempted not to write it. Don't not write it. Write everything, because when you are aligned with your purpose and your vision and what you are called to do while you are here on this planet, those things will start to fall into place for you miraculously. And I've had this happen so many times where people have written their 3-year letter with really out there kind of stuff, JC. Like they're like, I don't even know how this is going to happen with where we are and where we are at right now. But the minute they put it out there and they commit to it, it starts happening. They'll call me and say, you are not going to believe what happened today. I'm like, yes, I will, because I've seen it happen before. So we just stop dreaming. We stop, life just beats us up. And we get to a point where we can only see right here what's right in front of us. And I want people to see beyond that, because the only way you get through life's adversities, big and small, is that you have to have something that's bigger than what you're facing right now. Every obstacle that I've had, building 2 businesses, wanting to quit so many times, losing people along the way, it'd be so easy to just shut it all down. But what I want and who it's attached to is way bigger than what I'm dealing with. And so that's how I teach people to stay consistent.
Yeah,
Just have it.
It's so huge, because that's probably the number. I think people are always, one of my favorite sayings is who you are determines how well what you do works. But if you look at the general tactic and strategy, especially in the realm of personal growth, people get all hopped up on motivation and unconscious belief because somebody else got you to believe in yourself, lack of vision. So what they do is they go to work. And what people like you know, and I know, is that they're going to not hit a wall, they're going to hit a mountain, and it'll, who knows what it'll be. I mean, listen to what's happened to Carey. And like she said, she's had many opportunities to quit. So when you're confronted with that inevitable thing, it's your vision. It's that powerful thing on the other side that will drive you through it. So I think, and I'd love to get your take on why people struggle with this so much, because I want the person that's listening right now that wants to engage with somebody like you and create their vision, but still falls back on, they're below the line, they're the victim of something, or somebody's trained them. Say, yeah, but I get it, Carey, but not me. Let's talk a little bit about why people struggle, so we can connect with people and make sure that they understand that you're no different than them.
Right.
Because once they go to that place and let go of the how, I mean, if I'm going to coach with you and you give me this permission to make my vision, I kind of have to know that you and the universe will guide me.
Mm-hmm.
So why do people struggle so much with that?
Oh man, the list is long. In my all-day workshops, after they write their vision, I have them come back and I ask them, so how do you feel? And of course, there's people that say, I feel great. I can see some hope. I now know how to reverse engineer my plan a little bit better. I'm excited, all the things. But right on the other side of that, I get a lot of people saying, I have a lot of doubt. I don't feel I'm worthy. That's huge. I don't deserve it. What if I lose some people along the way in my life when I'm pursuing my dream? And I totally get that, because, again, going back to my story, when I entered into the network marketing world in the late 80s, my whole family and my closest friends all thought I was crazy. So, I just had to get beyond it. So all of the noise, the chatter in our head starts popping up, and they get stuck in that. And that chatter comes from so many places. Well, two main places. One, it's what we heard growing up. So, we had stories that were passed down to us, beliefs from our loving elder people. Great, not intentionally, but they passed on their own baggage. And second place we get it is having some sort of major emotional event that happened in our life that we created a story around. For example, I've had a lot of people who've gone through a horrible divorce that rocked their world emotionally. And so it lowered their self-confidence and their belief in their worth. So we have to go to work at busting through the chatter, the negativity that's going on in our head. And there's so much work you can do around that. Now more than ever, listening to podcasts like this, reading books. There's a really good book I read years ago that helped me a lot, entitled What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. So we have to change the words. And, this is the hardest part that you have to work on, is what's going on inside your mind. Think and Grow Rich, best book ever. So that's where it comes from. And unfortunately, the older we are, the more planted those negative thoughts are in our head. So we have to do a lot of work to retrain the brain and get rid of those and put new messages in. I've done a lot of that work on my own as well. So yeah, we have a culture that, unfortunately, from birth all the way through our life, we get embedded a lot of negative messages, and it's hard to go to work to break those down. But if you have a big enough vision that you want so bad, like I said a minute ago, it's like air to breathe, and you have it attached to something that's bigger than you, you'll make the effort every day to push through it.
I love that. I knew you were cool, but you're so much cooler than I thought.
Thank you. That makes my day.
Well, you're speaking our language. But once again, you can go to a seminar and hear all this stuff, and I call that the jacuzzi experience. But then right after, you bring your butt into it. You'd be like, "But here's my deal." So very, very distinct to hear her say that's going to happen, and that's normal. It happens to us too, which is why you have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest challenges, and I'm just going to pull this from you, is acknowledging the fact that our program, I mean, this goes back, if you read the book Sapiens, it goes back to, caveman, cavewoman days where we were always in fight, flight, or freeze. So, we have to give ourselves a break and accept the fact that we're all a little effed up. You know what I mean? And it's normal to react to adversity and feel. However, what Carey's talking about is that you don't have to create a story and give so much value to it. You can feel and still succeed. So, Carey, because most people, when they go to bed, they become unconscious to all of these things, which is my favorite thing to do. I love sleep. But when I open my eyes and I boot up my system, the first thing that typically happens is I boot up a program, which is really yesterday's program. So I'm very, very big on a routine to take control of the day. What are some things that you do that help you like take command, become the dominant force in your day?
I love this topic so much.
I figured you would.
Yes. The best thing that I have incorporated into my life, and I've done it for years, is that the first hour of my day is total quiet time. I don't run into the day most of the time. I get up and I get myself into a space. So the first thing I do is I read scripture, I journal, I pray, I write gratitudes, I listen or read something positive for about 20 minutes, and I set my intentions for the day. I have a mentor in my life who has become a friend, and he's an amazing man. His name is David Meltzer. David taught me, and I've said this quote over and over to many people. I told him when I started mentoring with him what had happened in my life and how, I have to get up every morning and suit up, get my head in the right space, because I can easily, if I think about all my losses, go down. So he said something so profound to me. He said, Carey, the only real thought of the day is the first thought that you have. Every other thought after that is a reaction to the first thought. So we have to capture the first thought. And like you said, JC, a lot of people go to bed with a lot of baggage. And so they wake up with that baggage. And without capturing the thoughts and changing how they feel and changing how they think, they set off a chain reaction of negativity for the day. So it's super important to have some sort of ritual first thing in your day. Mel Robbins, you've mentioned her a couple of times, talks a lot about not looking at your phone, literally placing it in a totally other part of the house. And I love that. High-fiving yourself. This is her new thing of high-fiving yourself. So it's the work that you have to put in to understand. You first have to believe that you can capture your thoughts, because I think a lot of people don't believe that. They do the yeah, but thing. Yeah, but you don't know what my circumstances are, and you don't know my household situation. So first step is we have to get to a place where we believe that we can, and then go to work at putting those rituals in place so that we can capture the thoughts and live intentionally every day.
So good. So good.
So good.
And just background, anytime I hear somebody talk about this, you hear a lot of things that they do and not do in their morning structure. So that's focusing on the things that you can actually control. It's like anybody can control what they consume. This is a big thing. If you listen to this back of what Carey just said, she's taking command of the day by controlling what she does with the first hour. Not looking at the phone is controlling your consumption. Journaling and reading is controlling your consumption, because that fragile, and I'm definitely going to go look up David. He sounds awesome. That fragile first thought that will trigger the cascade of the others is a big challenge. So what's interesting is if I'm being totally transparent, because I've had a pretty interesting life as well. And I say interesting because it's all good. But my first thought when I go from unconscious to conscious is typically a negative one, because I feel a little boot up of something that maybe bothered me the next day. So I take command of that by saying the words thank you. So right from I mean, like what David is talking about, like that first thought, man, it's like you have to take control of the first minute that you wake up, because if that first thought is something you buy into, then it all falls. Here's what I want to know from you in connecting it to the vision and purpose. Is that the train?
It's the train.
So watch this. This is DJ Dragon coming at you with the train sound in the background. So when we do things like this, doing the work and all these things that you do in the morning or somebody does, isn't it important also to somehow, and I'd love to know how you approach that, somehow connect those things that you're doing to your vision? Meaning, when I look at my vision that you helped me create, isn't it important that the actions that I take are connected and correlated in support of the vision? Because if they're not, like you could do something positive, but it has nothing to do with the vision, I think it's important to also kind of build some tension that's going to bring you closer to it, right? Can you
Oh, good. Yes. So good. So when I speak and train, do a workshop, whatever it is, on vision, before I actually even have them write their 3-year vision, I talk about the top 10 things that having that clear vision helps fix. Depending on the audience, I'll pick the top 10. But one of the top things I talk about is it helps you set better boundaries with your time, with your money, and the people you spend it with. And I can break all 3 of those down in depth.
And they say, that sounds good.
Yes. Because time is again, we are limited in time, right? We only have 24 hours in a day. We cannot change that. What happens with most people is they live super busy lives doing a lot of really good stuff, but their calendar's filled up with all these good things that are not the best thing to move their life forward to make the impact they want to make. So when you have a very clear vision, like I do, of where I'm going, say in the next 3 years, and then 1 year, next 6 months, I've got it broken down all the way down to this month. Every decision I make today either lines up with the vision and is the best use of my time, or it's not. So it's super easy for me to say, you know what, thank you for this opportunity. And like you, I get a lot of them, but it just doesn't align with where I'm at right now. It's not a no, but maybe just not right now. I've got to stick with what's the best use of what I'm doing. And that's really where people get tripped up, living in busyness, doing a lot of good things, but not the best use of their time.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Isn't that important? I did a podcast episode. I just kind of woke up and had an idea that I looked at what you're talking about now, because it's really a filtering system or a panning for gold. Like you have to have some sort of a mechanism where you check, is this in support of that? So I came up with an analogy, and I did a podcast episode called The Bouncer. And I said, so everything that you want, your vision, this is fun. We can take this one on the road, Carey.
Yeah.
So everything that you want in your vision that Carey helps you create is the nightclub behind you, right? So you're standing outside and you're the bouncer. And there's this huge line of a mix of people that are in support of your vision. And then there's a whole mess of people that are what I call flow burglars. They're actually there to F up the vision.
Yeah.
So you look and they come up and they hand you their ID, and you look and you go, you're not on the list. Right. Yeah. And sometimes you go, but I'll look at your ID, and then you have some sort of a filter system and you go, sorry, we're full. Right. Mm-hmm. So I love that. And that's something that people, I think it's important to let people know that that's something that requires practice. And practice makes progress. I know Carey, and on up to the top of anybody that's teaching people stuff like this. We all screw up every now and then, and we embrace that as an opportunity to learn how to do better. So, I would say, and you can speak to that person, because I want to talk about what people can expect when they first engage with you, and how it's important for people to know that, like, because everybody's saying like, oh, now Carey's saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how to create your vision and purpose and thrive and live an extraordinary life. And people will still go, now's not a good time.
Mhm.
Now's not a good time for that. So catch yourself in that now's not a good time mode. Allow yourself to say, are you open to being extraordinary right now? And then recognize that there's little steps. There's little steps of I mean, Carrie's in her polished state right now, and she's still taking steps. So speak to that a little bit, Carrie. So somebody listens to this and they find you, and you'll be in our newsletter and all that. And they'll say, I'm interested, I like ye, I want ye, right? What's the experience like, and how do people begin this process with you? I mean, I hear you say we're going to do a 3-year letter, but what's that experience like?
Well, if I work with people, which I have, the very first exercise they have to do is I have to see the 3-year thing they wrote, because it shows me really what's in their heart. And because I've done this so long, JC, and because I kind of have an intuition about it, it's easy for me to read between the lines too of what they wrote. I especially can read between the lines on what I hear them say that I don't even think they realize they're saying. So when they trust me with the 3-year letter they've written, and they now are taking some courageous steps, because it does take courage. They're going to have to bust through some things that they're really afraid of. We start breaking it down into baby steps. So like I said, it's 3 years. And then we talk about, okay, where exactly do we want to land a year from now? And if that's the year vision, let's talk about 6 months, and let's break it all the way down to the next 90 days. Because 90-day goals are incremental especially if you're running a business, right? So we can take it all the way down into, okay, let's just focus on these things for the next 90 days, so that this month you will know week by week and day by day just the steps we're taking right now. Where people get overwhelmed is they think they've got to do it all at once, and they're not doing it in a time frame that is doable. I'm going to go back to, again, entrepreneurs. A lot of times when I started working with an entrepreneur, somebody that was wanting to grow their own business, they would come to me having done the business for maybe 2 or 3 years, and they were super frustrated because they were super busy doing all the things that look like the right thing to do. And they had spent a ton of money on things that are good things, but in the wrong order. So they had spent money, time, and had not making money yet. And they were so close to quitting. And I told them the only fix we have to do here is we have to get some metrics based, some numbers down on paper, so that we can quantitatively figure out where you want to go each quarter, so that we make sense of what you're doing and where you're spending your money. So it frees up a lot of heaviness for them. You know, one of the very first people I coached was my very best friend that I went to college with. She went into the hotel industry straight out of college and worked her way up to being one of the top VPs in a certain hotel industry. It was very successful, but very frustrated because she traveled 32 weeks out of the year and she had no life, and really wanted to correct that. She wanted to move home to be closer to her family, and no thought on where to start, super overwhelmed about leaving a corporate job. And I said, all right, let's just noodle some ideas you have right now that would align with the life that you want. And one of them was real estate. She thought, I'm kind of interested in real estate. I think that would align with what I want. I could be able to do it from wherever and move back home. And I said, okay, baby step is that I just want you to call a realtor in your city that you want to move to, and just take her to lunch and ask her what her life looked like and how she got started. Can you just do that? So just an example of where we start, right? Because people see the bigger picture, but they can't break it down. And I just want to help them break it down.
So good. So good to, I'm listening to that as that person, and I'm just thinking, man, that would be a win right there. And then, and just making the connection that, like, yeah, I mean, like, one step forward is forward.
Right.
So our audience is a mishmash of what I call seekers, right? So they're seekers of the and they want to be happier, healthier, and wealthier.
Yeah.
But they're also at different phases of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is listening to this right now that is like not even getting out of bed in the morning, and they're just listening, right? And hoping nobody knows they're listening because they don't want accountability.
Yeah.
on up to the guy that is just like kicking ass and just using my podcast and these types of lessons to just like catapult him to, Mars with his business. What's the best way, knowing that we have those different categories, what's the best way for somebody to engage with you? I mean, we'll put all of in the YouTube video and in the newsletter and in the show notes, all of Carey's contacts will be there. But speaking to them right now, what's the best way to engage with you? Is it to experience something you've done? I mean, I think you have mastermind groups and all these things going on.
Mhm. Yeah. I have a lot of layers meeting people where they're at. I've started using a new tool that anybody can use. It's super simple. It's a digital platform where they can go in and create this dream life and break down their goals. And if that's just a tool right now that somebody wants to start with, super simple. And yes, all the way up to I work with executives that want to get more clear on maybe their vision around their exit plan and how they can lead their team better, and a mix of things in between. One of the things that I'm really excited about right now is coaching coaches. The coaching industry is big. And so many people, as you said earlier when we started talking, want to be a coach, but they don't really know how to create that coaching business. And so it's very common for somebody to go into coaching and do all the things I just mentioned, all the good things in the wrong order and not make money. So my sweet spot is really helping coaches be a better coach for their clients and help monetize their business.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I've just got so many ideas. And I know you and I've been talking about stuff on the side, and, it's just so valuable, and I think it's awesome because, Chicken and we play a big game in the direct sales network marketing space as well. And man, oof, isn't that important?
Yeah.
But just like any other business, I think everybody's biggest challenge is they don't even know that they're quitting before they even try because they don't have something on the end that makes them
Right.
hard. And we give them all these analogies about the 2x4 across the Twin Towers and all that stuff. And they all go, yeah, yeah. They all know. But it's the vision, what Carey does that gives you the ability to have an analogy where you don't have to save your kids' lives and walk across a board.
Mhm.
It could just be like to thrive. So,
Right.
Carey, I ask everybody this question at the end of the show. What is Carey Conley most afraid of? What's your biggest fear?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think it's really just I always probably because of what I've been through personally, it's always the safety of my family. Just making sure that we are safe every day, healthy every day. I have a 1.5-year-old grandson who is fearless right now, and he scares me. That's what scares me is that he just has no fear of anything, and just want to protect. I want to bubble wrap him, right? Um, it's just a fear. It comes from again, what I've been through, and my daughter is so good with not worrying about him, so I just let him do his thing.
Isn't that interesting? You meet these powerhouses that are fearless when it comes to themselves, but their kryptonite is others.
Yeah,
Where, it's not about like you're not in a place now where you care about what others think about you, but here you are. The people that you love more than you love yourself keep you worried. Yesterday, it's funny, timestamp, and I got some really, really great news. But there's two things going on in my life that have created a lot of anxiety, which makes it hard to see the vision sometimes.
right.
And that is, I've been working 2 years to adopt my daughter, and we finally are. I don't know if I told you this, but we're bringing her back on the 18th of December. So
That's
I
so
went from being like miserable to elated. But last night, I was noticing that I was in a funk and all of this stuff was going on, and I teach people how to unfunk themselves. And I realized that yesterday was the final tryout for my son to make this like miraculous hockey team.
mm,
Had this deep fear that I don't feel any other time that he was going to experience letdown and failure. And I understand all the mechanics of that. but by the grace of God, he made the team. So I slept last night, and that was awesome.
That's great.
Carey, you're awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being on our show. And this is going to be one for the vault. And it's just what a great find, what a great gift the universe gave us by allowing me somehow in the midst of 7 billion people to bump into you. And I've got so many ideas of ways that I want to work with you and people that I want you to help and stuff. And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're doing great work. And also on behalf of the Dragon Nation, I just want to congratulate you on weathering a storm that most people would, seek shelter for the rest of their lives. So, I know that even though you're a blessing and you help other people, you still have demons that you address every single day. And that's a testament to the person you're listening to right now is, she doesn't wake up in the morning and have like Julie Andrews float through the room with cartoon birds on her finger. She does the work that she's teaching people. And it sounds like anybody else could do that as well.
Yes, I hope. That is my hope, and that's why I'm here. So I thank you so much for giving me this platform to talk to your tribe. You are amazing, and I'm so honored we have met.
Yeah, I agree. I concur. So what a great episode. You'll be able to get it on all the channels. And we thank Carey for being here. Remember, you can follow me at Rise Up with Dragon on Instagram, and you can go to the riseupwithdragon.com website and get the weekly newsletter and blog. Carey will be featured in that when her episode drops. And hey, have an amazing day. And I love and appreciate you all.